Guys, I'm David.
And I'm Garen.
And today we are doing a public service announcement here on the Printed Panel Podcast.
And we're doing it live from Nirvana Comics Knoxville.
Only we're not live. We're recording.
Okay, we're recording, so that's true. but we're at Nirvana Comics Knoxville, which is our comic book store. We don't own it. We're not the shop owners.
We don't own any comic book shop. And guys, I think that's an important thing. So I'm going to take a minute and own something that I did. I'm going to say I'm sorry. No, it is that big a deal.
Okay.
So last week in our Comic Books on a Budget segment, I launched into what could politely be termed hate speech against, against comic book flippers. Now, I don't have any problem in the world with speculators, and I'm not defending what I said because I cursed quite a lot and was a little unnecessarily aggressive. Mm-hmm. And it offended a couple of people who commented on our feed and were like, well, I'm never going to subscribe to you. And I was confused. I was like, why are they mad at me because I didn't get my copy of Flash 754 and I'm pissed off at that guy who's making $25 a pop on them on eBay? And the reason they were upset about it, which is absolutely understandable, and I actually really genuinely appreciate them calling us out, so much so that I deleted the video from our YouTube channel, edited out that piece, and then re-uploaded it. I didn't delete their comments on purpose. I deleted the whole segment. I hope, I think they call me Bruce 3, I think was one of them. Yeah. But anyway, the two guys who call us out, listen, genuinely, I do appreciate you doing so because, number one, we have a responsibility to remain positive. We're not comic book professionals. Insofar as we're not writers or artists or own a comic book shop, we're just a couple of guys who record a podcast, and so being
happen to love comic books.
Yeah, being negative serves zero purpose. And I wrote in my blog about the Tom King incident. If you want to go back and listen to that on the podcast, God forgive me, I really did blast Tom King for no reason.
Cat, bad.
No, that hadn't happened. Yeah, but we have made fun
of
that
that's
too.
That's too. But it's like the war jokes and riddles was you're mad about.
I wasn't mad about the war jokes and riddles. It was I Am Gotham, where Batman is going to just die.
Yeah,
and that didn't feel like Batman to me. And instead of saying it that way, I was like, F Tom King. There was no reason for it. So thank you guys very much for, number one, if you're watching, giving us a second chance. Number two, understanding that saying something actually meant something to us. And so I'm going to make sure to control myself a little better. But we are going to talk about something fairly important. And Garen brought this to my attention, but it's something that's kind of been apparent.
So, okay. The big deal
Set the scene.
So here's the deal.
G-Man.
We all know DC split from Diamond. Okay, it was inevitable. We pretty much saw it coming.
It was a bad relationship.
It was a toxic relationship to begin. In fact, Diamond unfortunately has a toxic relationship with a lot of companies because of the COVID shutdown. A lot of companies suffered. Especially small press, because they actually didn't get payments on time, and there are a lot of reasons for it. But essentially, what's happened now is.
We're not criticizing Diamond.
No, there's no criticism there. It is what it is. It needs to happen. But what's happening is now the comics are back, we're finding that there's issues with it. So one of the things I want to talk about first is subscribers. There are a lot of people who walk into comic book stores across the country, they pick what they want off the shelf and they move on.
And bless them.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's fantastic. But you're not now if your store gives a good discount for being a subscriber, you should be a subscriber because you save money. But having said that,
actually, I don't care if they give a discount or not. Not to say the discount is important, but if you want to make sure that you get your comics that you want from your shop, whether they give you a discount or don't give you a discount, if you like doing business with them, subscribe. And here's why. It's not just you're saving money. It's not just that you're getting your comics. Your subscription literally tells a comic book shop what they should order.
Right.
So if they have 25 people who subscribe to Batman, they're going to try to get those 25 copies plus whatever they think they need for their shelf.
Right.
But most comic book shops are small business, meaning that every dollar that they put out there is a personal investment from their wallet.
Right.
And so they may be afraid to order 40 additional copies because this may be the week that Batman sucks.
Well, the big one to talk about right now is The Last Ronin. The Last Ronin is going to fly off the shelves, I can tell you that now. But subscribers are going to be the lifeblood, because every time you tell your shop, hey, add that to my list, that means they can say, God, good. My investment was good. Now, there's some shops that are big shops, and
I don't think Midtown Comics probably has to worry about
No.
over ordering on Batman. Now they might have to worry about over ordering on a small press book. Let's say Scout Comics Midnight Sky.
Right.
Like,
You don't know how much order.
I don't know how well that book did. I'm not calling it out. It's just the first small press book that could pop to my head. But they probably can afford to sit on 30 copies for a while, and it's not going to hurt their business model or put them out of business. Some shops, if you overinvest in the wrong books and they don't move, and you can't recoup the little bit of money you've invested in them,
you're just stuck with those.
You're stuck with those, and that's why you get dollar bins and quarter bins.
So the thing we recommend as subscribers, the two things we recommend are, number one, buy a copy of previews every month. What it does for you is it tells you what's coming out in 2 months. Look through it pretty much immediately after you get it, and then make a list of what you want. Hey, this is things I always get. This is things I really want. If you're not going to be a subscriber, at least go to your local dealer and say, by the way, I think these are really, really cool. Can you make sure they're in stock? I can't always guarantee it, because if not a subscriber and there's teenage biker chicks on steroids, that book you may get.
Describe big girls.
Okay. So you may only be able to get. They may only get 5 of those for the shelf, and that may be it. That could be a huge runaway hit. I'll give you a great example. What's happening now is that Marvel, DC, and a lot of companies are not producing as many comics as they used to. So, for example, look at Marvel. When Venom 26 came out, a lot of stores were shorted parts and pieces of it. Say they ordered 100, they may have only gotten 75 or 85 or 90. That meant that subscribers go first, and then there's a few left for the shelf.
Hopefully.
Maybe. But if you're a subscriber, you get the first pick. If there's a first appearance of something, you've subscribed to it. You get the first pick. The Three Jokers book that's coming out, the Last Ronin.
I want 3 copies of Three Jokers.
Endless Winter at the end of the year. There's going to be some first appearances and some deaths and some resurrections coming up in the next year when it comes to comic books. Subscribe. Because here's the thing. It's typically free. There's usually no fees for subscription. And you typically, like I know with the LCS I work in, you get a good discount for getting books every month. I'm not trying to tell you to subscribe to Nirvana Comics. I'm saying wherever you are in this country, look at being a subscriber.
Yeah, it's definitely good. And let me give a little bit more behind the scenes. I used to work in a comic book shop. It isn't as easy as I want something coming out August 12th. I'm going to tell you August 5th.
Right.
Because they ordered those books in
2 months.
May.
Yeah.
It's 3 months back.
2 months.
Well, yeah.
2 months.
So there's a chance maybe they can get it. There's a chance maybe they can't. But if you pull your previews and you go through previews or watch our preview show, we will plug ourselves. I don't mind doing that.
Well, that's what we do. That's one of the reasons we do previews. We want to do it because it's fun for us. We literally wanted to tell you what we think is going to be cool coming out.
Actually,
really?
I literally just
we do it for fun.
Yeah.
But the reason we talk about it is because we know this is going to be something cool. Hey, by the way, did you see Big Girls is coming out? Holy crap, that's this week. I can't wait for
Are you
this.
picking that up?
I am.
All right.
I mean, because listen. It's,
I'm going to grab a copy
it's
from my friend
kaiju,
Linda.
and it's Clint I think would like it too. But it's kaiju. I mean, come on, this is going to be fun. But
it's women fighting kaiju because they're men who turned into monsters. It's amazing.
This is
female empowerment book. Love it. Anyway,
awesome.
It's not about that. So guys, don't get mad at your comic book shop if they're shorted right now. We don't know really the truth behind it. It may have been the printers in China, more than likely, were told to stop production early. It may have been that the comic book companies looked at things and said, we can't overproduce right now because the margins are tight. It may be that the distributor isn't communicating. There isn't enough being ordered. We don't know. Yeah. We are not in a position to know the truth, but we do know how to avoid having most of that problem. The other thing I would advise you to do is have a relationship with more than one comic book shop. You may be a subscriber one place and have a walk-in relationship in another, and
that's okay too.
That's okay too, because every once in a while, one shop's going to get shorted something, the other shop's going to have the book you need. And I always encourage you to support local business. Always. And not because I have loyalty to any particular place, even though I do.
Well, okay.
But small business is
exactly small business.
To me, that's the American dream.
So it may be, and here's the thing. So we talk about this a lot, but comic book stores are a community. We're a small community because if you live in a small town where there's one comic book store, fine. But if you're in a place like Knoxville, there are 7. We all know each other.
Only 7.
We all know each other. We all talk to each other. Hey, did you get this? Were you shorted? What's going on here? We try to talk to each other and say, by the way, hey, listen, we got a problem. Can I send the customer your way? I do this all the time. I know other shops have called us to ask too. That's the good thing about having these relationships. There's nothing wrong with knowing going to multiple places, because quite frankly, I may not have everything you want. I try.
Right.
But I can't always carry everything, so we're giving it a shot.
Right.
But yeah, so the big thing to remember, get your previous book and subscribe. Those are the big things. If you want those books guaranteed, you want to guarantee they're on the shelf, hey, your subscriber always comes first. You're the most important. You're the lifeblood of that store. Period.
Now, let me talk about the back end really quick. Speculators. Those guys I called out last week. Right now is a good time to make a lot of money. If you're able to pick up books that normally there would be a bunch of extra copies of, Venom 26 a perfect example.
Yep.
That would have been a book that they made 150,000 copies of. They may have only made 40,000. And if you're able to pick up a couple extra copies, you probably make $1 or $2 on them. And the
Yep.
books, because they're being underproduced, are more valuable in the secondary market.
Yep.
And I have zero problem with people making money in the secondary market. Zero problem with that at all.
Good for you.
My rant 100% last week was because of Flash 754 that we got shorted. We, not I own the shop or anything, but we, as in the place where I shop, got shorted. I didn't even realize I was missing it until later, and then trying to find a copy of it became impossible. And then I saw somebody ring up 9 copies of that book.
Right.
Turns out it was a major first appearance.
Yep.
And I missed out on it and ended up having to pay like $16 for a book that was worth $4.
Well, the complaint.
And it was on my subscription list.
The complaint that collectors have, and this is just from a collector standpoint about speculators, is they go in and they buy every copy of something that they can find. Our comic book store, the one I work in, don't own, but I work in, we allow 2 per customer, period. So if something's new and it's hot, it's on the shelf, you get 2. That's it. Mainly because we want to make sure other people can get it.
Wait a minute, let me ask you a question. And genuinely, I don't know. Is it 2 at cover price or 2 period?
Well, so for example, let's say there's a new issue. Let's say Naomi comes out, and I've got 2 copies available. You can buy 2 copies at whatever the price is at the time. If it's on the new release shelf, 2 per person. Doesn't matter if it's cover price or not. It's 2 per person, because quite frankly, we want other people to be able to buy it too. And now we've got stacks of things that happen from time to time, and people want to dig through boxes. That's all fine and good, no problem. But please be considerate of the other people.
Well,
that's really that's reality.
I don't mind them buying up the stack. Honestly, what I mind, and this is an experience I had when I was a comic book employee, was that guy who comes in and is rude about it. I don't mind you making money off of me. That's fine. You're paying me.
Right.
You're paying my salary. I'm
Right.
cool with it. Like,
Right.
great. But don't scream at me to pull things out of subscriber boxes. Don't tell me you get to buy 20 copies at $3.99
Because that has happened.
because the book's worth $50 online right now, and cuss me out and carry on and try to flex on me. And that has happened. I absolutely believe the 2 gentlemen who commented and kind of made fun of us, rightly so, last week. Oh, they're laughing because they don't want to make money. Like, I get it. I absolutely get it. From the perspective that it was taken, 100% correct. But if you've ever stood on this side of the counter as an employee and had somebody talk to you like a dog because they want to buy a book that they have no intention of reading and are venomous with you over a limit like 2 per customer, you would change your perspective a little bit too, because trust me, you want to punch that guy in the face. Like you may not really want to, but some part of you is like, I want to slap the taste out your mouth because you talked to me wrong.
There's some awesome things about working at a comic book store. There's some horrible things about working at a comic book store.
Well, it's retail in general.
It is retail, but man, this should be one of the most fun places on the planet. I get to read comic books. Come on, I don't get to read comic books when I'm here at the store.
Oh,
I got
literally.
important things to do.
When I worked in a comic book shop, I stopped reading comics in October and didn't pick up again until February. I bought everything, and I literally have 1 to 2 short boxes of stuff to catch up on.
Yeah.
That was the hardest time when we first started recording our podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Is I'd have to hurry and read stuff that I didn't really have time to read, and be ready for the episode. And if you go back and listen to that early stuff, I'd be like, yeah, I don't.
I'll be honest. There's times when I get books on a Wednesday, and Saturday night at 10 o'clock, I'm reading the last two. Because, I mean, sometimes that's what happens. So.
And now that I don't work in a comic book shop, I have more time to read comics.
So much more time. It's
isn't
crazy.
that an interesting thing?
So really, we appreciate you listening. Thank you for this. And we really are not trying to preach to anybody. We're literally just saying, hey, listen, if you're not finding what you want on the shelf, be a subscriber. Tell them in advance. That way they know, and that way you can get everything you're looking for. That's kind of cool. That's one of the few retail industries where you can say in advance, hey, I want Hulk number 50.
Man.
That's going to be an amazing book. I want Immortal Hulk number 50 because blank.
You're hitting my heart that they're going to cancel Immortal Hulk.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for that this morning, Garen.
Yeah, well, there's some speculation on that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll talk
there
about
is.
that.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share. Guys, if we do something wrong, and we do every once in a while, don't be afraid to call us out. It was me, and you fed into it. But call us out. We take our viewers and our listeners very seriously. We appreciate your feedback, even if it's David needs to lose some weight. Yes, I do. I have no problem with that feedback. I appreciate it.
He's sexy the way he is. It's fine.
And I know it. Gosh, now it's hot in here.
Stop.
I'm going to turn these cameras off. Don't smooch on me until I get that one turned on.
Yeah, you're